All right, this is recording 675. So I've got a lot of recordings to make. I'm going to try to get all of them done or get as many done as possible. So, okay, more crimes that Gene Jernigan, Robert Zimmerman's, and occults have committed. Okay, while I was decoding these, all over people were on and literally thanking themselves and bragging. And then in my brain, I can hear them and I can like kind of visually see them as they turn their attention and direct their attention to their people, and they're all trying to switch stuff around. I mean, they're just full of just snot and lies and just, they're ridiculous. So I'm going to go through these crimes and you're going to see exactly again what an asinine person is committing these crimes. It's insult to injury. So here's the first one. Multiple explosions shake mosque at Indonesian high school, injuring at least 55. The mosque was at SMA 72, a state high school within a Navy compound of Jakarta's northern Kelapa Gading neighborhood. So Jean Roberts is using Jack again. She's using Jack the Ripper, and now she's got a new theme, which I see what she's doing, which she's already been doing, but she's upping it. She's doing it in more frequency. So she's using Jack the Ripper more in frequency because she knows I just got done decoding more of parts of his cipher, what he wrote. I decode. There's so much of it. There's so much to it. I can only decode parts of it at a time because it's that extensive. And she knows I was just decoding it, so now she's doing more crimes, and then claiming she's Jack the Ripper. And you know her family line is Jack the Ripper. Okay, so in this is also Kathy Hoda. So she is using that terror cell network that is using Kathy Hoda as a theme to commit terrorism by, and she is controlling them, and then they're committing crime and they're using the Kathy Hoda as a theme. She's also using Honolulu, and then also goes to Galapagos. Whenever I think of Galapagos, okay, so first Gal, that's one of her aliases, Regala, which is present in Spanish, and presence, and all the everythings you could synonym out with that. She's done it all. Okay, so you got to see all code. So that goes to Honolulu. So Honolulu, you got to see all code with that too. That goes to Pete's Dragon. What she does is she makes me go back to being a little girl and remembering my entire childhood. And she reminds me that she's always been able to abuse me, and she can always abuse me, and she can always stalk me, and no one can stop her, is what she's doing. So that reminds me of being in first grade in Mrs. Parker's class. And it reminds me of Puff the Magic Dragon. So, and then, Puff the Magic Dragon and all the LSD, and it's her Charles Manson reference. She's a leader, Charles Manson. So it reminds me of that. But I'm in my first grade class and I'm looking across the hall, and I know this goes to the future World Trade Center attack and CL code on Mrs. Parker, CL code first grade. But I see across the hall is second grade. And I remember thinking, is that another first grade class? And then somebody said, no, that's second grade. And that's where I ended up going to second grade at. And my second grade teacher's name was Mrs. Cooney Gatto. So that goes to the World Trade Center attack because she's using the Mrs. Parker reference, and she's using, and I was also in brownies in first grade, CL code on brownies. There's a whole bunch that goes to it. So she's like going about with their little dastardly plans of committing future terrorism and trying to blame everyone else. And then she picks and chooses of what I decode. And then she runs around and spreads lies and makes money and commits more terrorism, which is what I'm stopping her from doing by making reports against her. So anyway, so she's referring to the 2 different World Trade Center attacks and also the 2 towers. So anyway, also she's saying in this Kathie Lee Gifford, and she's making a reference to Kathie Lee Gifford. Okay, my sister's middle name is Lee, and then my sister who passed away, whose life she took, her name was Leah. Gene Roberts controlled all of our names, everything, used an AI on all of us. Okay, so Gifford, okay, she's obviously using Ford as a reference there, Apocalypse Now. But she's using Gifford, Illinois. Now, the initials for Gifford, Illinois, again, are GI. Because when I think of Gifford, Illinois, I think of the drive-in. Okay, it's like one of the only drive-ins there are in the area, and it was called the Harvest Moon Drive-In. Okay, so she's using that as a reference to swing to The Outsiders. You remember the movie The Outsiders, the book The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton? Okay, she's doing that to S.E. Hinton, and then she's making Puff the Magic Dragon references. So she's referring to the Outsiders here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She's making a reference to Cherry Palm, which is in a bajo underneath Tulsa, Oklahoma. And like I said, there's all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of people underground. I'm not going through all of that in this recording. You got all my recordings to find out everything that's going on underground. Or you can just listen to Gene Roberts and help her sell her, run her freaking trafficking ring and do her nasty crap and help her continue to commit terrorism. The type of American you are is what you'll do. No guilt trip. It's just, if you care about this nation or any other nation, you're going to pay attention to what's in these recordings and you're going to press charges against Gene. If you're not doing that, then you're of the mindset that you don't want to be involved, which is fine too, because you're not causing any harm. The rest of you guys helping Gene get away with this, you got to stop. So anyway, also, she's also making a reference to multiple moons. That goes to the Carol Burnett show. That goes to when I was little in grade school, my mom's friend Eunice, and her showing me the moons on my nails. So that goes to that. And then she's also making a reference to Rudyard Kipling. And she's also making a reference to Tom Hanks and that other blonde dude in Bosom Buddies, which was on the air during that time frame in the 70s. So, Hanalei is often associated with Hanalei, Hawaii as a possible inspiration. So you know what she's doing there with the Hanalei, Hawaii, with the 2 H's, and then the Hawaii. You know what she's doing. Then the popular 1960s folk song Puff the Magic Dragon is by Peter Yarrow and Leonard Lipton. So Yarrow, okay, remember my first dog's name. She's making an Old Yeller reference here. Is what she's making. My first dog's name, my stepdad's dog, he was yellow. His name was Arrow. So Peter Yarrow, and then Leonard Lipton, and then the Lipton Soup Radio, AIW grade school, and I threw the Lipton Soup Radio over the fence. So has been often connected with the North Shore Kauai town of Hanalei. Okay, so, or in this case, Honolulu, and she's also using Yellow Pages. Now, Gene Roberts is working with people who are helping her commit these attacks who claim that they are descendants of Alexander Graham Bell, and I've already reported it. And I don't think that they're helping her anymore. Let's hope to God they're not. I mean, unless they're going to go down with Gene Roberts and her Manson occult ship. Okay, so the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist. So she's using that way back from when I was in grade school as a future sign of her planning to do the World Trade Center attack. And then also Alfred P. Murrah is in that, in the autumn mist. Okay, so the next crime is 4 killed in helicopter crash in Russia. So the aircraft collided with a private home in the Southern Republic of Dagestan, according to emergency services. Jean Jernigan Roberts and her Manson occult committed this crime too. She made a Topsy Tail reference. In my brain, a mental telepathy. You know what she did to me. We don't have to go through all the recordings again. You know what she did to me when I was a baby. Okay. I stabbed her in the eye in my brain with a pencil. And this is a revenge attack. And then I also stabbed her in her other eye with a Topsy Tail. And a Topsy Tail, it looks like it's for your hair. You put your hair in a ponytail and it's a straight thing, and then it has a circle thing on top of it, and it makes your hair flip into a Y. And they used to be real popular in the 90s. Well, I decoded more crimes that she had committed, and I got really pissed off at her. And in my brain, in mental telepathy and brain visuals, I stabbed her in the other eye with a Topsy Tail. So this is a revenge attack. Her committing this terror attack. And where I did this was when she put that picture of herself with that guy. She's dressed in all yellow. And she has like this golden light flowing on her. And she's with that blonde guy, and he's dressed in all yellow. And he's hovering over her, and they're here in my backyard, sitting in the chair opposite from where I normally sit when I smoke. And it's like a scene from Ghost. Like he's got his arms around her, and they're all just longing and loving each other. So I'm like, nope. One day I went out and picked up the chair and dumped it upside down to dump her out of the chair and dump her out of the way. And I'm talking again about Jean Jernigan Roberts. So human blood swastikas found all over Germantown. So you can tell that is linked to this crime that I just reported. The attack she did in Indonesia. Because that's what she's saying by using Hawaii as a reference, Honolulu, Hawaii. So, human blood swastikas found all over Germantown. Authorities arrested a Romanian national after the Nazi symbol was discovered on dozens of cars, mailboxes, and building facades. So, this is something Jean Jernigan Roberts likes to do. She likes to commit vandalism. You guys know she's been committing vandalism in businesses, in museums. She's been doing national landmarks. Okay, so what she's doing here is she lost the favor of someone from Romania that I talked to when I lived in Texas, and I was talking to him in artificial intelligence in my brain and mental telepathy. And it's like that when a lot of people come on to talk to me, Jean fills them all with all kinds of lies, tries to run a racket, and then she lets them loose, and they go on my brain, and then they attack the heck out of me, and then they stay on, and then they find out they're being lied to by Jean Jernigan Roberts, and then they want to go attack her. And some people do attack her, and then some people say, no, don't attack her, because she'll commit terrorism in response. So she thinks she has me like on one of her, because what am I supposed to do? She is abusing my brain and body with artificial intelligence. She is stalking me. No one's arresting her. Jean Jernigan Roberts needs to be arrested. I'm not going to tolerate her abusing my brain and body, or stalking me, or committing terrorism, or spreading lies to make money, and letting her get the fuck away with it. I'm not going to tolerate that. I need to be in a witness protection program. So do my boys. as far as I'm concerned, so does my house. And Jean Jernigan Roberts needs to be arrested. So this is what she does. Do you remember the Tesla vehicles? Where she vandalized all the Tesla vehicles. Okay, so this is the same kind of thing. So anyway, the Romanian person that I was talking to, Jean lost favor of him. So this is a revenge attack, trying to jerk his attention or trying to get his attention, which I don't know who he is. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about him. I just know he was like, I just know he is not pleased with Jean Roberts. So anyway, okay, so the next terror attack is horrifying UPS cargo plane crash caught on video. So footage suggests the aircraft was on fire even before it left the ground. Dramatic video footage has emerged online showing the moment a UPS cargo jet crashed immediately after takeoff from Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport on Tuesday, killing at least 7 people. One of the clips, apparently filmed by airport employees, appears to show the McDonnell Douglas MD-11, so you already know Maryland, and y'all already know Matt, already engulfed in flames as it rolled down the runway. So this is something else you can tell Jean did this because of the syrup, the stalking. So McDonnell Douglas is a company, which I know people around the world know McDonnell Douglas. McDonnell Douglas is a company that I grew up around when I was a kid because they're from Arizona. And she's also making a reference, there's a Douglas, Arizona, and then there is a Doug, which is the character from My Three Sons. You know how Jean Jernigan Roberts loves to call her criminals her sons or children. It's insane. So she's using a My Three Sons reference. So the spiritual successor to McDonnell Douglas's helicopter operations in Mesa, Arizona. Now it's called MD Helicopters. And the company is based in Falcon Field in Mesa, Arizona. So she's using the FF there. Okay, so the next crime, Belgian military intelligence service websites attacked by Russian hackers. So you already know, is that 118? You already know that's 28. Okay, so what she used here was, again, the syrup. You know, Jean Jernigan Roberts loves syrup. You can always tell Jean Jernigan Roberts and her Manson occult committed these crimes. She's making a reference to Prussia. She's saying pollo, which is chicken in Spanish, and she's saying chicken and waffles. On Wednesday, they targeted the websites of telecom providers Proximus and Scarlet were attacked. Okay, so she's also using syrup here. You know how she loves to stalk Eminem. She's using Primus. And when Eminem is singing about Primus, what is Eminem singing about? He's singing about his eyelids. So it's a revenge attack from Jean committing crime. So also she's using CL PSSP code. CL code on proxy. You know that she is trying to start war by committing proxy war. She's also using epoxy, which is in reference to Pacific Scientific, which was one of my first husband's jobs. And then epoxy is like a hard glue, so she's making a reference to horse glue. And then she's also turning it into bubble gum. So the next crime that Jean Jernigan Roberts, the leader of Charles Manson, committed, Canada, 1 dead after shooting in Burnaby's Metrotown. So she's using Bob Burns, CIA. She's using Barney's, the department store. She's using Arby's, more syrup again. Okay, so my first husband worked at Arby's. And me and my last husband always went to Arby's to go eat all the time. It was our thing. And so she has tried to associate my ex-husband with Arby's. All right, I'm sorry. My roommates are excited. They got a new vehicle. They're excited. It's just going about, caring about life as usual while turning in Jean. So anyway, so she's using, she's got Arby's associated with me and my ex-husband. She's very obsessed with my ex-husband, Ben. So again, it's syrup. You can tell Gene Roberts committed the crime, and she's using the slogan, "We have the meats." It's also a reference. She's also making a reference to the burning bush, which is something that has got the Middle East very upset about. It was something that they figured out that Gene Roberts did in planning to do the World Trade Center attack. Jean Jernigan Roberts keeps claiming that she's everybody that she's not. She is a Caucasian white supremacist from Milton, Florida. She is the leader of Charles Manson. So the burning bush was something that when I was in the middle of decoding, it was something they were on and they figured out, and it has angered them. So she's using that as syrup, as ploy. I don't know who she's trying to trigger, what she's trying to do. In my brain, she constantly tells me she's sitting with the Middle East and she's speaking on behalf of everyone. And da-da-da-da-da. It's the same old, she's the orator and she rules everything. And I'm like, somebody freaking arrest Gene Roberts. I'm sick of this. So anyway, she's also making a reference to Burning Abbey. She's saying Burning Abbey, and then she also is making a reference to Little Abner, which is a comic strip series. And then she loves the word Lil. You know how Spanish people always have nicknames with the word Lil? And I asked Spanish people, I asked the cartel, I was on the cartel, I asked them a long time ago. And because I was decoding now and laters, Gene used now and laters, the candy in my life. So I'm decoding from when I was a child in the 70s, and she was using the now and laters candy. She was also using zebra gum, and she was also using bazooka. She runs a huge food racket. She sells and traffics children and adults with food. So food is all over everywhere. It's all over everything. So anyway, I was decoding the now and laters, and it connected to later on me moving to Chicago, and I go into a gas station, and I remember her like zapping my brain, like injecting in my brain. Like I went to go buy bubble gum, and then I bought now and later. So I'm like, I don't even know what this is. Why am I buying this? So anyway, so was decoding. This was years ago when I first started decoding, and I'm like, LIL. I'm like, does that mean? Because Gene is like, she plays like this music in my brain. It sounds like a buzzing, like a zzz, and it's like, but it's, you can't really hear the buzzing, and it's like you're on water, and it's like like that. And no, it's not a reference unless she's over there claiming she's people that she's not. But I just completely disregard. I just know when I hear that, and then she starts chanting in the sound wave. So she's like, and she's like chanting in it, okay? And she does it real subtly in my brain. So that means the epitome of evil is on, and it's Charles Manson, it's Gene Roberts. So anyway, I was decoding this years ago, and so that whole thing comes on in my brain, and she's like quietly like going in my brain, trying to quietly whisper in LIL means later in life. And so I'm like ignoring it. And so then I'm like talking to the car, and I'm like, does later in life, she's got the one guy going, the Al Bundy guy, the one that all controls me along with Gene. So she's on there trying to run their two-way script. And so I'm asking somebody, does LIL mean later in life? And Gene gets all excited. Gene Roberts gets all excited, and so does the guy. And then she runs off with it, and then everything becomes LIL. And she's acting like this is the very beginning of her wanting to blame Mexico for everything. And she's acting, and it's acting, okay? She's ice raping Spanish people. She's ice raping Latin people. Okay, but she's acting like she's playing stupid, like she's figuring this out. And she acts like she just discovered something and she runs off with it. And next thing I know, for like the next like 2 or 3 weeks, she keeps pointing my eyes to people's socks and everything else, acting like she's Mrs. Frickin' OG. When she is the one abusing people with artificial intelligence and she's pretending to be people that she's not. And I can't explain like the hum thing. It's like a hummy thing. So Jean Roberts does pretend to be people she's not, but I know who Jean Roberts is. It's my dad's freaking ex-girlfriend. So I don't know what she's trying to pull. Every time I hear that, she does that with Fallujah too. She chants Fallujah in my brain. She goes Fallujah. I don't know how she does it, but anyway. So she chants all kinds of weird stuff in my brain. So anyway, so the Lil is in there. So she's using syrup because she's making a Lil Abner reference. And then also, my boys went to Abney Elementary in Slidell. So she's making a Slidell reference. So it's total syrup. It's Jean Roberts committing these crimes. And then she's using McKay. She's using Dylan McKay, Luke Perry from 90210. Now, in 90210, if you've ever seen Beverly Hills 90210, Luke Perry's dad dies in a car accident that explodes. Last week, she set something in my car to vibrate my car and was telling me that there was a bomb in my car, Jean Roberts. And then somebody started yelling at her and they're like, what did you guys do to her car? And they're like, we just put something in her car to scare her. Why? Leave her the fuck alone. Why are people even associating with people doing that? Fucking turn their asses in. So anyway, she's also making reference to Friends, and she's making reference to Central Perk, and then she's making a reference to Tavern on the Green and CL Code Tavern on the Green and CL Code Friends. Okay, so the next crime is France. Several critically injured after driver rams into 10 people on French Island. So you know she likes to commit car accidents, and you know she's known for driving cars into crowds of people. So this one, what she's using is she's making a reference to French's mustard and French's Island dressing, and she's saying Grey Poupon. You know how she uses the word poop to commit terrorism with. She's also making a reference to Mr. French. I can't remember the name. Oh, Family Affair. Buffy and Muffy, which also connects to the terror crimes that she commits with the network who is using it. And it's all Jean Roberts people. They're just different parts of the same Manson occult. And how she ice rapes them or delivers orders and commands, all that. That's up to, obviously, intelligence to figure out. I just turn in the leader, which is Jean Jernigan Roberts. Arrest her ass and the rest will fall. Because I'm sure people everywhere want to kill Jean at this point. So anyway, so she has one terror network that uses Hans and Franz, We Will Pump You Up from Saturday Night Live, that are committing terror attacks under Jean's orders, Jean's command. So this is connected to that same network. Also in this, they mentioned someone's name, Arnaud Larraise. Okay, so she's using in that person's name, she's making a reference to Arnold's. She's making a reference to Happy Days. You know she loves to point my eyes and smiley faces constantly. She's also using the term La Raza, which means family. She's also using raise and razor, and she's also looks like she's saying raise nukes. And then French Island, she's saying 5. She's probably saying Fantasy Island too. You can tell Jean did this. Jean Jernigan Roberts has committed all these crimes. So she's also using Dolus d'Oléron and Saint Pierre d'Oléron, which came to an end outside a bakery. So she's using Pierre Cardin. She's making a Christmas Story reference because my first son had a Pierre Cardin snowsuit that my Aunt Vicky gave me when Anthony was really little, and he looked like the little kid on A Christmas Story. And then she's using Cordon Bleu. She's making a reference to Little House on the Prairie with the Olsen reference. And then she's using the term doula Okay, so what she's doing there is she's also referring to the La Leche League, which is a league for breastfeeding women. And you know how Jean is, everything is like she uses all of that as she has a whole bra thing. Okay, so then she's also referring to my Podbean making reports against her. So she's committing an act of revenge, and she's acting like the people she's impersonating are committing the attack of revenge when she's the one committing the attack, acting on revenge because I'm making reports against her. And then she also used Carson Perry Scott. Another crime that she committed, India, toxic haze chokes Indian capital. She's using the banned tonic. So again, she's referencing my ex-husband, Ben. So she's using syrup. And then she also, the people in the band tonic, Jeff Russo and Emerson Lake Powell. Okay, because the guy's name is Emerson, so CL code Emerson Lake Powell, and then Jeff, and then Russo, and you know Russell's nickname is Russo. And then last night she put fireworks in my brain, and she's also using Dishwalla. I don't know who Dishwalla is, but somebody freaking was trying to get her and her people away from me, and they were using dish gloves, so it's another revenge attack. And so this time she attacked India, and she's pretending that it's India doing it. It is not India doing it, it's Gene Roberts doing it. Then another one is United States explosion at Mississippi plant sends large plume of yellow smoke into the air. This was in Yazoo City, Mississippi. You know her email address, NavyGal27, Jean's email address. She also refers to herself as Swiss Miss, so see all code there. The next crime she committed is in Pakistan, 4 injured in house gas leakage explosion. So this was in Model Town, Lahore, Punjab. Okay, so you know she's hiding out there in Pakistan. She's got she's got hostages there. I know she stole troops, but I don't know if all the troops are returned. I don't know. I know that we just got troops back, some hostages she had back, but I still don't know what the situation is there. But obviously she's still committing crimes in Pakistan, which means she's probably still got hostages there. And she's got hostages that are American, also Pakistan hostages. And she's ordering them to like do whatever for her. Like she wants to like rule over them. So anyway, so Model Town, Lahore, Punjab, in a tragic incident on Friday, 4 people were injured in an explosion in a Lahore house due to a gas leakage. And then there's the initials gas leakage, GL, GAL. According to Rescue 1122, an explosion occurred due to gas leakage in a house in Model Town area. She's also making a reference to life in a northern town, the Dream Academy, and she's also acting like this is just a game, and she's making a reference to Academy Sports. So the next crime that she committed is in Canada. Explosion on ship near Baker Lake under investigation. So Happy Valley Goose Bay, you guys already got Grey Goose, in where the KIVALLIQW vessel is currently docked. The safety board announced Wednesday on October 15th the 145-meter-long KIVALLIQW reported a cargo tank explosion on board. So here she's using Harper Valley PTA CL code. She's making a reference to the Brady Bunch CL code there. She's making a reference to the Brady Bill CL code there. She's making a reference to Alice and Mel CL code there. She's making a reference to Alice in Wonderland CL code there. She's making a reference to Butcher Baker Candlestick Maker CL code there. G. Jernigan Roberts committed that crime. United States, 7 New York City firefighters hurt after explosion during car fire in the Bronx. Okay, so firefighters suffered burns after there was an explosion after they responded to a fire involving trash and cars in the Bronx, officials said. So this is who she used there. She committed this crime also. I've decoded this before. I can't remember what I was decoding where she made a reference to this show before, but she's used this show before. 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. Jean is pretending to be guys, pretending to be cartel, and she's out committing crime, and she's hurting firefighters, and she's doing it for Steve Severn, my first boyfriend. So in this crime, she's pretending to be me, full of angst, out attacking firefighters for my first little boyfriend in junior high, Steve Severn, is what Jean is trying to pull here. She used stop, drop, and roll, so she committed this crime also. So Jean Jernigan Roberts committed this crime. I report these crimes. Whoever's just trying to swing back at me, it's one of her terrorists, freaking ignore them. So South Korea, 5 feared trapped after structure collapse at power plant in South Korea. She committed this crime in South Korea also. She used the term 5 iron. You know her thing with 5 with the snake strike. She used 5 iron, and then she also made a reference to Iron Psych that's near Acapulco, Mexico, underground. So she committed that crime also. So that is that for this recording.